All right, let's keep this conversation going and back to the phone lines. And Maria in Long Island, thanks for holding, Maria. Guns in schools, good or bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea. I happen to work in a school. I don't understand why we're being held to a higher standard than anybody else. We're under the same pressures as anybody else.
Hey, Maria, are you an educator yourself?
Yes, I am.
So, and can I just ask you, because I always thought about this. First of all, if you go in the faculty lounge, I imagine teachers are talking about certain kids that they dread having in their class, or they drive them crazy, or parents that have no place being on the campus but yet will knock on the door, or even some emotions running high in the faculty lounge, and maybe some romance has gone bad, etc. Teachers are humans, right? With all the human frailties and problems. Am I right?
You're correct. I just don't understand why anybody would feel that it's okay to put a gun in the hand of a teacher in a school. Teachers and school employees as a whole are the same as anybody else.
All right. Inez in Verona, New Jersey, you're on the line. Inez, do you agree with Maria this is a bad idea?
Oh, absolutely, it's a bad idea. Let me tell you why. If this gunman comes in and he can fire off around 20 bullets inside of a second, unless that teacher has that gun hanging around her neck, where's she going to get it?
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah. I want to read a couple Facebook comments and bring you guys back in. And both of these come from viewers who either are teachers or work in a school. Let's first start with Sylvia, who wrote us in via Facebook. I teach in a rural school. We all grew up with guns in our homes. Guns are not dangerous. People with the wrong intentions are. Guns won't make us any safer. We still can't read the minds of bad people. Again, the argument, it's not the people, it's not the guns, it's the people. Now, next comes from Peggy. She also works in a school. She says, I've worked in my school for 16 years, and I don't want any part of this. What an insane idea. Only the NRA would think of something like this. And I will only make one point about the NRA. Forget how people feel about this. I found it, first of all, one of the most bizarre press conferences I ever saw, but that guy had the audacity to portray himself as the big defender of American education. Since when did anybody care about finding a penny to pay for schools that don't have music, arts, gym even, for crying out loud, and certain things? Now, all of a sudden, we can find $3 billion here so that we can find people to pack heat. If I was a teacher, I would find that more than a little offensive here, where you dump everything on the teachers. Everything wrong, it's always the teacher's fault, right? Never the parents or anybody else's. Now, you're not only going to blame them for what they're not doing, but secondly, you're going to make them be educator and also law enforcement official. Teaching, I think, is one of the toughest jobs as it is, but it's also one of the most thankless ones, it seems.
It's a ridiculous idea. It's an absolutely ridiculous idea that I mean, as one of the callers says, unless the teacher has a gun around his or her neck, you know, if someone does something, it's not going to be something that's readily available. You're not going to be anticipating a shooting while you're trying to do algebra. Teachers aren't programmed that way. They're educators. They're not soldiers. They're not police officers.
You know, we have a serious problem in this country, and this is a serious issue, and we need a serious conversation, an intellectually honest conversation. And since Newtown and since the NRA press conference, we're talking about the newspaper publishing names of gun owners. We're talking about guns in schools, and I'm not indicting the show. Obviously, we're talking about what people are talking about, but this is the direction of this debate right now. We're not talking about the problems itself. We're not talking about whether we need to control certain types of...
I believe it will change. To your point, I think you make an excellent point. I believe it will come back after we get through this fiscal cliff nonsense, and Biden comes back with whatever proposals they are. We're going to talk about some meaningful stuff.
I'm not so sure.
I'm not so sure if this is continuing to try and move the goalposts in a direction.
Well, they certainly changed the conversation. If that was their goal, I don't think they could have planned that press conference that way. But if that was their goal, they succeeded.
Aside from sensible, controls.
You know, I want to get your guys' take on an issue we talked about last night. When we come back from the break here, we're going to open up our mailbag. Last night, we asked you another gun-related question, this time about the Journal News' decision to publish not only the names, but the addresses of all the gun owners in their readership, meaning Westchester, Rockland, and Putnam County. You certainly had a lot of opinions. We'll get to those after this.